She absolutely was. The cops had already let her slide too many times, and if they didn't step up now, I'd be left holding the bag. But I wasn't about to let that happen. Nope. Karen had just made her move, and I was ready to make sure she paid the price. I walked back into the house with a grin, leaving the officers and Karen frozen on my porch. They didn't know what to make of me, exactly how I liked it. I wasn't moving my truck. I wasn't backing down. This was just getting good. Cliffhanger. As the door clicked shut behind me, I could still hear Karen outside, her voice climbing like she was starring in a bad reality show. "This is outrageous. I'll call 911. She shrieked. I couldn't help but laugh. Not even a real emergency. My truck wasn't blocking a thing. But Karen was a pro at spinning drama from nothing. I turned from the door, still a little stunned this was even real. That was the moment I knew things were about to get worse. I wasn't just dealing with Karen anymore. I was about to deal with cops. And maybe that's exactly what she wanted. Put me on the defensive. Make me look like the villain in her HOA soap opera. I dropped onto the couch and let out a breath. It had already been a long night, and now this stunt? I tried to keep my cool, even though every part of me wanted to go out there and set her straight. But I knew better. Somewhere outside, Karen was still shouting, probably painting me as some deranged maniac to the cops. The thought of her twisting the truth like that made me clench my fists. This wasn't about parking anymore. It was about control, her need to micromanage every square inch of the block. I checked my phone. No texts. Just one HOA board email glowing on the screen. Of course, ever since Karen started stirring the pot, they'd been pinging me with passive-aggressive reminders. First one was about noise levels, because I had the nerve to mow my lawn at 10 a.m. The second was about a crack, yes, a literal crack, in my mailbox. According to Karen, community standards meant zero imperfections. Every HOA message felt like another thread in her little web. She didn't run the HOA. She was the HOA. I opened the email and skimmed it. Another warning about ongoing neighbor disputes, thinly veiled, no context, clearly pushed through by Karen. That's when I realized, if this was going to stop, it had to be me that stopped it. The HOA wasn't neutral. They were part of the show. If I wanted to win, I'd need to outsmart her. I leaned back and started planning. I had to be clever. Whatever I did had to be above board, because Karen, she'd twist anything to make it look like I was the problem. And then came the sirens. My stomach dropped. She actually did it. She called 911. Of course she did. I don't know why I expected anything less. Karen was made of pure drama. I rubbed my temples, already dreading the mess. I peeked through the blinds. 2 cruisers, parked right out front. Red and blue lights flashing like it was a hostage situation. I could almost hear the soundtrack swelling, dark, brooding. This was exactly what Karen wanted. A spectacle. And she was the star. I opened the door and stepped outside, calm, collected. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me rattled. The cops were already talking to her. And Karen? She was in full performance mode. Her voice trembling with fake panic. "Officers, I'm telling you, this man is out of control," she cried. "He's blocking my driveway. I can't have guests park here. I've never been treated like this. I don't know what to do anymore." Like nothing had happened, she stood there scowling, arms folded like she was the victim in all this. "She did what?" Amanda snapped, her tone sharp. "I don't want a refund," I said quickly. "Just, can we get him a new cone?" "Same thing, please." Amanda gave a quick nod and hustled to the back. Elijah glanced up at me, barely lifting his head. "Will she take it again?" he asked, and my chest tightened. "Nobody," I whispered, kissing his temple. "Not this time." But I had no clue what was about to go down. Just as Amanda returned with a fresh cone and handed it to Elijah, another voice cut through the moment. "What's going on here?" I looked up, and there she was. My wife stood in the shop doorway, arms crossed, voice calm and lethal. That tone, it didn't shout, but it sliced. She wore jeans, sneakers, a light sweater still speckled with flour stains from her morning shift. And yet when she locked eyes with Karen, she looked like she owned the whole damn building. The soft jingle of the door chimes was comically out of place with how tense it got. For a split second, everything stopped. The customers, the staff, even Karen seemed to freeze like her instincts knew she'd finally messed with the wrong family. My wife's name is Rachel. She usually runs the kitchen, but when she steps out front, it's because something serious just hit the fan. Rachel knelt beside Elijah, adjusted his cone to keep it from tipping, and gave him a warm, gentle smile. "You okay, baby?" she asked. Elijah gave a tiny nod, his arms still wrapped around me, but his little fingers gripping that cone. Rachel kissed his cheek, stood up slowly, and turned toward Karen. Instantly, her entire energy shifted. "Can someone explain why my son's crying, and why there's a cone melting on the sidewalk?" she asked, voice still low, but sharp. Karen, who had been all puffed up arrogance, suddenly recoiled. She forced a laugh and tried sweetening her tone. "Oh, you're the mother," she said awkwardly. "I was just trying to help. Your little boy was making a mess. Ice cream everywhere. Someone could have slipped. It got on my shoes. I thought I was doing a good deed." Rachel raised an eyebrow, totally unimpressed. "You thought smacking a toddler's cone out of his hand was a good deed?" Karen waved a hand dismissively, clearly annoyed no one was buying her story. "It wasn't assault. I just nudged it. Kids need discipline these days. Parents let them run wild. This place is a sticky disaster anyway." Her words landed like a slap to the room. A mom nearby with a stroller looked horrified. A teen holding mint chocolate chip froze mid-scoop. Even a barista muttered, "Jesus," under her breath. Karen didn't notice. She was too busy justifying her behavior. Rachel stepped forward, voice steady. "That child you're talking about? He's my son. And this shop? Ours. So if you've got a problem with kids enjoying ice cream, maybe you should go somewhere that doesn't sell it." Her voice never rose. "And just so we're clear, you don't ever lay a hand on any child in here again. Especially not mine." Karen's jaw flapped open like she was gasping for air. "I didn't touch him, just the cone. It's not like I hurt anyone." "You traumatized a toddler," I said, my voice shaking but clear. He was smiling, happy, and now he's scared someone might snatch his cone again because it offends their shoes. That's not discipline. That's cruelty. Karen flushed crimson, defensiveness creeping in. "You people are unbelievable. Making a federal case out of a drop of ice cream. Kids today are spoiled. No one tells them no." Rachel narrowed her eyes. "We tell him no when he's actually done something wrong. Licking an ice cream cone? That's called being 3. That's called being a kid." Silence stretched tight across the shop like a wire. Even Karen could feel it slipping away. She turned her attack toward the staff. "Well, if this is how you treat paying customers, I'll be leaving a review. Yelp, Google, all of it. I deserve an apology and a replacement cone." Rachel scoffed softly. "Nope. What you're getting is banned. You're not welcome here again. I don't care if it's tomorrow or 10 years from now. Walk through that door, and I'm calling the cops." Karen looked stunned. "You can't do that." "I absolutely can," Rachel said ice cold. "You're lucky I'm not pressing charges." Still missing the point, Karen pulled out her phone and pointed it straight at Rachel, recording. "Everyone, take a look at this. This shop bans customers just for raising concerns about cleanliness. This woman's unhinged." Rachel didn't blink. She faced the phone square on and said, calm as ever, "Hi, I'm Rachel, owner of Sweet Spot Ice Cream. This woman assaulted my son's ice cream cone and terrified him because it was dripping. We've got witnesses and security footage. I stand by my decision to ban her." Karen yanked her phone back, cheeks flaming, eyes blazing. Without another word, she spun around and stormed out, cursing under her breath. The bell above the door gave one last jingle behind her. The shop stayed quiet for a second. Then someone by the window clapped. Another followed, and a third. It wasn't loud, but it was enough to make Rachel's eyes soften. She looked over at me, gave Elijah a kiss, and said softly, "I'm sorry that happened," brushing his curls. "People can be cruel, but you're okay now. You've got your cone back. Want to eat it in Mommy's office where no mean people can find you." Elijah nodded, and Rachel gently guided us to the back where he curled up in a cozy armchair, finally smiling again. Rachel turned to me. "I'm pulling the footage tonight. I want her face and what she did online before she even types that review." I nodded. "Good. Let's show the internet what happens when you mess with the wrong kid and the wrong mom." By sunset, the place was buzzing, not just from the usual traffic, but from whispers of what went down earlier. Word had traveled fast. Rachel and I knew half the neighborhood would be talking by morning. But she didn't want rumors, she wanted facts. Once Elijah was settled with his third cone of the day, safe, content in that chair, Rachel got to work. She pulled the clips from the front and counter cameras. Everything was crystal clear. Karen striding in, slapping the cone, yelling, then instantly trying to play the victim. Audio, video, time-stamped, multiple angles, a shop full of silent witnesses. Rachel didn't wait. She cut the footage, added captions, and posted it to the Sweet Spot's official page with a no-nonsense caption. Today, a woman assaulted a child's ice cream cone because it was dripping. That child was my son. She's banned from Sweet Spot for life. This is a family place. We protect our kids. Rachel, owner. She hit publish. Then we waited. The comments came fast. Regulars, moms groups, local foodie pages. One influencer reposted with, "You mess with a kid's cone, you mess with all of us." It took off. Shares, comments, hundreds, then thousands. People were floored someone could be so heartless to a child. Others chimed in with their own Karen stories. Some just wanted to know the time and date in case they'd run into her too. Still, Rachel stayed wound tight. She paced, arms crossed, chewing her bottom lip. I could tell she was replaying it. Angry, protective, heartbroken. Elijah was safe now, dozing with a melted smile, ice cream on his cheeks. But Rachel? She wasn't done. She really thought she could spin it. Rachel muttered, mid-step. Record me in my own store. Act like she was the one being attacked. Yeah, I said, glancing at the phone. Views were past 2K. Now everybody knows. And the footage doesn't lie. Rachel let out a breath. Good. She doesn't get to hide behind some fake smile and sanitation excuse. She was just cruel. By morning, it exploded. Not just locally, nationally. A parenting blog dubbed it, "The entitled moment that'll ruin your day and restore your faith in ice cream justice." Reddit picked it up. Conegate, someone called it. Threads lit up with awards, comments, outrage, support. One person joked about starting a GoFundMe for a lifetime supply of ice cream for Elijah. Another edited a meme of Rachel like a Marvel hero, standing between Karen and the cone, titled, "The Cone Avenger." Avenger. While the internet exploded, Karen did what we all knew she would. She lashed out. She flooded Yelp and Google with one-star reviews, claiming our shop targeted innocent women and that the footage had been edited for drama. But it was too late. Our loyal customers and brand new supporters came through fast. They flagged the fake reviews, flooded the platforms with positive ones, and shared heartfelt stories about our shop, our staff, and especially Rachel. Her calm, firm response became a viral moment of grace and grit. In a world constantly chasing outrage, her steady defense of our son struck a nerve. Even with all the chaos online, we tried to keep things simple for Elijah. We told him the woman who knocked over his ice cream was wrong, and that mom made sure it wouldn't happen again. He nodded. He was too young to fully get it, but old enough to feel safe. That afternoon, we went for a walk. He wore his favorite hat and got another scoop from the shop. This time, Rachel held it until we were seated. Throughout the day, strangers kept walking in, asking to meet the owners. Some were locals finally stopping by after seeing the clip. Others were travelers who wanted to support us. Sales doubled, then tripled. Through it all, Rachel stayed grounded. She smiled, said thank you, but never lost sight of what mattered, protecting our son and standing her ground. That night, we sat in the back after closing, tired but at peace. The video had crossed 1 million views. News outlets were calling. One network even planned a segment. Rachel just leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered. She picked the wrong cone to knock over. Days passed, and the shop felt smaller as the world pressed in. The video was everywhere. Reposts, threads, internet justice for a 3-year-old, and a dropped scoop. Parody clips popped up, Karen's meltdown reenacted with sock puppets or dubbed over with cartoon voices. The shop that once felt like just ours now had folks driving in from hours away. And somehow, it felt healing. Watching someone cruel face real consequences gave people something to root for. Rachel didn't want the spotlight, but she stepped up. Every time a camera pointed her way, she brought the focus back to the real issue, protecting kids, creating safe spaces, and standing up for what's right. She didn't need to embellish. The footage did the talking. Karen left voicemails, thinking she could scare us into taking the video down. Her tone shifted each time. Icy threats, syrupy apologies. Rachel didn't blink. She saved every message and kept the video live. Online, people were already fact-checking Karen. Old reviews painted a pattern: rude to servers, addicted to complaining, always demanding freebies. Meanwhile, our review pages were overflowing. Thousands of 5 stars. People calling us heroes, family defenders, moral compasses. One even wrote, "Haven't tried the ice cream yet, but if it's anything like the owner's character, it's probably the best I'll ever eat." It was heartwarming. It was overwhelming. It was exhausting. Our peaceful little life had turned into a headline. And while the business thrived, the toll was real. Elijah, though, he bounced back quicker than us. That's the magic of kids. They feel the moment, but they don't carry it around like grown-ups do. We kept his days steady, playdates, bedtime stories, and sprinkled duty on cones. Rachel made sure the back office was always full of laughter. And Elijah? He wasn't afraid of ice cream. Not even a little. But we were changed. We knew how close it had come. That not every child has parents who own the building or cameras rolling. And deep down, a part of me still worried. Not about the views, or the chaos, or even the shop, but about Karen. About what someone like her might do when her carefully controlled world starts to burn. And just like clockwork, she came back. A few nights after closing, we were wiping down the counters when the bell over the door chimed. I glanced up, and there she was. Karen, standing just inside the entrance like her band didn't apply. Like nothing had changed. She looked different somehow. Smaller. Wrapped tight in a cardigan. No more oversized sunglasses. Makeup toned way down. But the posture? Still stiff. Still cold. Still clinging to that old sense of entitlement. Rachel moved fast, stepping in front of the counter with her arms folded like a fortress. "You need to leave. You're not welcome here." Rachel's voice was all business. Karen didn't flinch. "I came to talk." "I don't care," Rachel said, flat and firm. "You're banned. You know that." Karen's gaze darted over to me, then to the corner where Elijah used to hang out like she was trying to pull back whatever twisted justification she thought she had. "You ruined my life," she murmured. "I lost my job. The neighborhood group kicked me out. My niece won't speak to me." Rachel blinked once. "And whose fault is that?" Karen winced, visibly. "You didn't have to post the video. You could have kept it private." "Private?" Rachel echoed. "You humiliated a toddler in front of a packed shop and then had the nerve to film me like I was the villain. You wanted attention. You got it." Karen's lips trembled, but no apology came. Just bitterness. Like, deep down, she still thought she was doing the right thing. That she was defending civilization one toddler cone at a time, and we were just too weak to understand. Rachel took a breath. "I suggest you leave before I call the police." Her voice dropped, slow and low. Again, Karen froze, then finally turned. She walked out, her shoulders hunched like someone had sucked the fight out of her. No more words. The bell over the door jingled a final time. Rachel locked it behind her, leaned against the glass, and sighed like she'd just exhaled an entire chapter. "She still doesn't get it," she muttered. "She never will," I said. "Some people only see the world through their own reflection." Rachel turned back toward me, fire dimmed but not gone. "Well, let her reflect on this. She messed with the wrong family, and now she has to live with it." And that was that. No final act, no courtroom drama, just a quiet exit for someone who thought she could slap ice cream from a toddler's hand and walk away untouched. But the world doesn't work like that. Not anymore. In the weeks after Karen's last sad attempt to reclaim control over the chaos she'd created, things started to settle. Normal didn't mean what it used to, but we found a new rhythm. Sweet Spot had always been a local favorite, but now it was a destination, a landmark. The viral moment had put us on the map in ways we never imagined, and we leaned in. People kept showing up, not just for the cones, but to meet the mom who stood her ground. We had customers road tripping in from 3-4 hours away. They wanted pictures out front, to try Elijah's now famous cotton candy swirl, and to leave little sticky note messages on our windows. Some were sweet and heartfelt, stories of people who'd been embarrassed by strangers and never had the words. Some were funny, little drawings of toddlers in superhero capes defending their cones with spoons like swords. The windows were plastered with them. Rachel wouldn't take them down, even when they blocked sunlight. She said they reminded her why that day mattered. Why we couldn't just move on and forget it happened. We found our footing again. Elijah slipped right back into his role as head sprinkle officer and chief flavor tester, completely unaware that he'd become a viral legend. He tried a few new flavors for show, but he always came back to his classic, cotton candy swirl with rainbow sprinkles. Rachel spent more time at the counter than ever before. Listening. Laughing. answering the same questions, hearing strangers open up with tears in their eyes, telling her how much they needed someone like her to stand up. And she never let it go to her head. That's what made Rachel different. She wasn't chasing clout. She didn't want the spotlight. She was just a mom, a business owner, someone who refused to let her kid be bullied. And that was enough. Behind closed doors, yeah, we kept an eye on Karen. Not for revenge, but because we knew how quickly the internet forgets. People like her wait for the dust to settle. They come back. But she didn't. Her fake reviews got nuked from Yelp and Google after mass reports. Her social accounts? Dead quiet. Someone from her old job even commented under the video, said she'd been fired for unrelated violations, but the Elijah incident sealed it. Her world didn't end, but it got smaller. A lot smaller. The attention she craved turned on her. And she faded. We didn't pop champagne. We didn't gloat. We just kept scooping ice cream. For kids who deserved to feel safe. For parents who needed to feel heard. For the ones who watched that video and realized they weren't alone. Because sometimes, it's not about the cone. It's about knowing the next time someone tries to knock you down, you've got people who'll stand beside you. That was never really the point. What stuck more than what happened to Karen was the ripple effect it had, through the block, the town, and even beyond. That standing up, showing up, and doing the right thing in real time still meant something. The footage ended up in online compilations for parenting workshops, and we even got an email from a college ethics professor who used it in a lecture. It was wild, strange, kind of humbling in its own way. We didn't set out to start a movement, but somehow it caught fire. One night, way after we'd closed up, Rachel and I were up on the roof above the shop, legs swinging over the edge, watching porch lights blink on across the neighborhood. Elijah had knocked out on the office couch again. Half a cookie cone still melted into his little hand. The air was warm, the sky totally clear. One of those rare moments when everything just settles and life finally quiets down. I never thought defending a cone could cause this much of a shift, I said, half laughing at the idea as I broke the silence. Rachel smiled and leaned her head against me. It was never about the cone, she said. It was about someone thinking they could just snatch something from a kid and walk away like it meant nothing. People are done watching that play out. We just happened to hit record. It's wild, I said. So many folks messaged saying it made them feel heard, like we weren't just standing up for our son, but for something bigger. Maybe we were, Rachel said softly, then added, but honestly, I'd still rather just be known as the people who make the best waffle cones in town. You're the queen of waffle cones, I joked, and she gave me a goofy bow. We sat up there a while longer, not saying much, just soaking in the peace, the way the streets seemed gentler after closing time. That's when it hit me. After all the headlines, shares, comments, and sound bites, none of it mattered more than this. Standing up for what you love, knowing when to draw the line, and being willing to say no. Not today, not here. That's what this really was about. Not about going viral. Not about Karen. It was about not shrinking away when someone crosses a line. In the end, she was just another character in the ever-churning cycle of outrage. A face people scrolled past. But Elijah, he became something else entirely. Without trying, he reminded people of what truly matters, of why joy is sacred, why childhood should be safe, and why sometimes the tiniest voices need the biggest backup. The next morning, Elijah woke up with sleep in his eyes and said, "Daddy, I want something new today. Surprise me." His smile was full of trust. I scooped him up and we walked back into the shop, past that wall covered in notes from strangers and friends, with music playing low in the background. And I knew right then, we'd done the right thing. We didn't just make a moment. We built a message. We planted our feet. And when the algorithms shift and the internet moves on, what'll still be here is this: a kid, a spilled cone, and a mom who just wasn't about to let the world tell him that cruelty wins.